A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review, and I'm going to tell you this straight off the bat. This one was a fucking slog for me to get through. Today I'm going to be reviewing 50 Shades of Grey. Yes, 50 Shades of Grey. Written by E.L. James, which is a pen name for the author Erica Mitchell, who writes what is commonly believed to be provocative romance. Not like your Mills and Boon's Hearts and Flowers romance. Not romance like this.
Is not love not unlike the unlikely not it is unlikened to?
Or romance with flowing speeches and declarations of love, a bit like this.
I take it all back! Everything, I take it all back, every word! I love you! I love you! I can't live without you! I'll do anything!
No. We're talking about provocative romance as in kinky sex shit. Bondage, whips and chains, titillating, descriptions that are supposed to get the juices of 70-year-old women flowing like Niagara Falls.
Yeah, well, that's disgusting.
Okay, maybe not that last one. But with that said, I'm going to be looking at this book in a few different aspects. I'm going to look at the characters, primarily the characters of Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey. I'm going to be looking at the story, and it would be impossible for me to not mention the scenes of sexual congress, so to speak, which are interwoven in the narrative. So, you know, I had to suffer through this shit, so I'll let you guys suffer through this as well. Here is another episode of... The only way to really start this is by talking about the two main characters. Once you get an understanding of the two main characters, the book will kind of fall into place as I talk about the story. So the book is actually narrated by Anastasia Steele. We get her perspective on everything. And so as you're reading the book, your idea of the other characters is kind of jaded by her impressions and her judgments and things like that, which is not a bad way to write something like this, because you're really using that as a way in to hit your target audience. Now, the problem is the character herself. Anastasia Steele is a fucking two-dimensional cliche of everything that's wrong in the romance genre. Now, we'll start with her family. Her family is really quite strange. Her father passed away when she was very young. He was a Marine and died in a training accident. Her mother remarried a man named Ray. So that was the father that Anastasia knew from a very young age. The mother divorces Ray and goes off to marry husband number 3, leaving Anastasia with Ray, not taking her fucking daughter with her. But that's okay, because Ray's a nice guy and raised her as his own daughter as best as he could. He does appear in the book, and he is basically one of the few nice redeeming characters in this shit show. The mother divorces husband number 3, marries husband number 4, a guy with the original name of Bob. Yes, you heard it right. Bob. Bob. I'm just being a dick. Anyway, she lives with Bob back in somewhere. It's very hot. I honestly don't fucking care at this point. But this whole kind of idea of this tangled, complicated family is meant to make Anastasia Steele more interesting, and it fucking doesn't. It's just annoying. You can't make this character interesting, and I'll tell you why. She is an awkward, clumsy English literature grad student who's just about to graduate from university. She graduates from university at the beginning of the book. She's never had a boyfriend. She's never had sex. She's very well read, but she prefers the period romance books like Pride and Prejudice and Tess of the D'Urbervilles and things like that. She's a walking fucking stereotype. We're led to believe, at least I'm led to believe, that this was a purposeful decision by the author because Anastasia Steele is her target audience, the author's target audience. So writing her this way is a way to get in with a target audience. I'm not saying that other people aren't going to pick this up and be fascinated with it. If you just look at some of the reviews at the front of this book, let's see. From Fabulous Magazine, women who have read it talk about it with reverence and awe. Let's see. Not only reviving the book market, but also readers' marriages. Well, how about that? Let's see. This book marks the biggest advancement of the woman's sexual revolution in decades. The book that made women want to have sex again. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, you can see that a lot of people jumped on this bandwagon in 2012, made this book an absolute bestseller, and I believe that comes from the character of Anastasia Steele being a character that apparently women can relate to. You're probably going to get people reading this book, primarily women, but I'm sure there are men. I mean, I read this and while I do have tits, I don't have a vagina. I do have a giant schlong, but that's for another day. But you're going to get people from all walks of life reading this book and kind of recounting their first time. And there's a reason for that I'll talk about later. However, there are some parts to Anastasia Steele that are just fucking stupid. Her part-time job while she's working at university is in a hardware store. Why? Well, it's an excuse to have Christian Grey come in at some point during the story and ask her to help him find ropes and cable ties and things like that, things that would be used in a bondage room. I'm not fucking kidding. That actually happens in the fucking book. Also, she's a grad student who has never and does not own a computer. She borrows her roommate's computer or she goes to the library to type up all her assignments and do research on the internet. Fuck off. Fuck off. Again, it's just a shameless fucking ploy for a meaningless plot point that will later turn the book into part narrative and part epistolary fiction. That's all that fucking is. It's fucking stupid. Because we are only seeing the events of the novel through the eyes of Anastasia Steele. If you want to see the events of the novel through the eyes of Christian Grey, you can go and read the book Grey. Yes, that is a real thing. We get to see these characters, these side characters are her friends, like her roommate, Kate Kavanagh, who is obscenely wealthy. In fact, Kate's parents bought the two of them a condo in Seattle for when they graduate. We see her friend Jose, the photographer, that is in the ultimate friend zone. Like, he's been trying to bone this chick for 7 years and they're just friends. It's fucking pathetic. But, you know, I've been in the friend zone quite a lot. So he's probably the character I most relate to. Oh, anyway. ultimately, this character is just fucking boring. And as the story progresses, we're meant to believe that she has this inner sex goddess within her that makes every time she sleeps with Christian Grey a multi-orgasmic sensation. Fuck off. Come on. I know it's fiction. I know it's a work of fiction, but you've got other truthful things in there. You could at least be truthful about the main selling point of the fucking book. So that moves us on to the character of Christian Grey. Christian Grey is actually quite a fascinating character because we only get to see him through Anastasia's eyes. So therefore, we're only getting whatever information he allows her to have about his backstory and about his history. We do find out that he was adopted by his current family at the age of 4, I believe. Before then, his mother was a crack whore. He has burn marks on his chest, which he doesn't like to be touched, which is suggestive of some form of child abuse. We find out that the reason he is into this dominant and submissive kind of sexual relationship is because when he was 15 years old, he was seduced by one of his adoptive mother's friends, and she kept him in that submissive, dominant relationship for a very long time. He is still actually friends with this woman, and they have dinner and chat about life, because why wouldn't you do that when you were preyed upon by a perverted pedophile as a teenager? You know, of course, makes perfect fucking sense. He's obscenely wealthy, although towards the end of the novel, something happens that maybe might be jeopardizing that. You never quite find out, because once again, this is all from Anastasia Steele's perspective. He's a pilot. He has a helicopter, a private jet. He flies his own helicopter. He lavishes gifts on Anastasia because he wants her to be happy, and that makes him happy. Spending his money on her makes him happy. Of course, because she's the Pride and Prejudice bitch. Oh, it's too extravagant. I can't accept this gift. It's just a loan. It's just a loan. I can't accept this gift. Like, just say fucking thank you and move on. It's not that fucking hard. So we get him. We find out he's a fucking stalker. Like, he stalks her through most of the fucking book. Checks up on her phone and shit. He's possessive. He's jealous. He has his idiosyncrasies in the bedroom. Hey, whatever floats your boat, mate. Knock yourself out. But ultimately, when it comes to the dominant submissive relationship, he is actually quite honest with her. She's the one that fucking overthinks everything and kind of flips out a bit and whatnot. And, oh, this is so wrong. How can he be into this when he's so handsome and blah, blah, blah. Like, Jesus Christ, you've never watched a fucking porno in your life? Oh, that's right. She doesn't own a fucking computer. I mean, I guess if you want to kind of continue with 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed, you're going to find out more about Christian Grey, more about his backstory, more about the 15 other women who were in his little dominatrix, subservient, love-hate relationship thing in the past before he met Anastasia. I'm not sure whether they signed contracts. Again, that's something that I'll bring up a bit later. But ultimately, you have this eccentric, sexually eccentric rich man who doesn't actually go out of his way to do anything that crosses any kind of a line with his partners. And yet, for a little bit of the book, she demonizes him over it, like it's somehow weird and wrong that he wants her to sign a contract and shit like this. It's just really fucking weird and ultimately really fucking depressing that this one character's like judgments kind of mar what would be otherwise a somewhat entertaining bit of like sexy romance. But again, you know, that's just the way I read the book, and I'm not a middle-aged woman. At least the last time I checked, I wasn't. So again, I understand that I'm not the target audience for provocative romance novels. I'm just giving you my honest opinion on fucking Richie Magoo and Clumsy McBookworm. And yeah, let's move on to the story side of it and see how they hook up. So let's get into the story. We first meet Anastasia. Her roommate, Kate, who is the editor of the school newspaper, is going to do an interview with Christian Grey, who's the CEO of this big corporation. She's fallen sick. She asks Anastasia, can you go and do the interview for me? Here's the questions. Just record it. I'll transcribe it. It'll be great. No problem. So she goes. Notices that all the women working in the building are blonde and busty, but you know, hey, no lawsuit there. Meets Christian, makes a fucking fool of herself falling into his doorway. He becomes enamored with that. He obviously likes clumsy chicks. And she gets the interview and goes back home after asking him some questions like the always controversial, are you gay? Goes back to where she lives with Kate. They talk about Christian and yada, yada, yada. Then they have exams. So they sit their exams, get home from doing the exams, and Christian has sent Anastasia a congratulatory present, which is a $14,000 first edition of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Now, Tess of the D'Urbervilles plays a large part in this book. However, I can't work out for the life of me why, because the last time I read Tess of the D'Urbervilles was fucking 1997. So she says, I can't accept the gift. I'm going to give the gift back. They go out to get drunk that night. And this is where she drunk calls Christian, wanting to know why he sent her the books. He gets worried because she sounds like fucking intoxicated. She goes outside. Her friend zone friend I mentioned in the past, Jose the photographer, follows her, tries to make a pass, is stopped by Christian, who has stalked her to this very bar. Yeah, whatever. With Christian's brother, Elliot, who is actually going to form a relationship with Anastasia's roommate, Kate, throughout the rest of the story. So Christian takes her home, makes sure she gets home okay. There's a little back and forth there, blah, 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 whatever. She goes to work. Christian, no, he doesn't take her home. He takes her to his fucking hotel. What am I talking about? She wakes up in his hotel room and she's all weirded out and embarrassed, but they didn't do anything and whatever. So she goes to work the next day and she's working in a hardware store. And of course, Christian comes in looking for ropes and shit. And it's just fucking stupid. This is a stupid thing. So she meets Christian again for a photo op. They have dinner. You can tell he's kind of falling for her in as much as he can fall for someone. And she's clearly falling for him in as much as he's got a ton of money and she has never poured herself out before. So there's gift giving and exchanges and back and forths and blah, blah, blah. He buys her the latest laptop. The guy that brings the laptop and sets it up for her is disgusted to find out she's only going to use it for emails because it can do so many other things. This is like one of the brand new MacBook Pro plus Apple fuckhole series. I don't fucking know what it is. It's 2012. Who the fuck remembers back then? So this is when they start emailing back and forth, and you get a lot of parts of this book where it's just email, like epistolary fiction, email correspondence, which is great because it's really quick to read that shit. Ultimately, she goes to have dinner with him at his place, and this is where he picks her up in a helicopter and he flies her there. And they're talking about this contract that he wants her to sign, where she will basically be his slave for 3 months, doing everything he says. The rules are actually written down in quite some detail somewhere in here. I'm not going to fucking look for it. But you do get like almost 5 pages of a full contract in the fucking story itself. What she's allowed to eat. She has to have a personal trainer. She has to go to the beauty salon at his bidding and all this other fucking things. So she goes there and he takes her to see what she calls the Red Room of Pain. This is his fucking bondage room. And it's got like the whips and the chains and the crosses and then the shit where, you know, they hang her up by the ceiling and the riding crops and all that fucking weird shit. The Benoit balls, the mouth gag, the butt plugs, like you name it, he's fucking got it. And this is where he finds out that she is in fact a virgin, that she's never had sex of any kind, and she has no idea about any of this. And it throws him off. You know what? I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to let the other guy just tell you about it. So he's been begging to do this. Take it away.
Christian Grey is frustrated. Anastasia has never been penetrated, probably never even masturbated. He decides to break her in a wild horse in a stable. He is capable, even though he admits it isn't really his game, to fuck this woman in a room without whips or chains. Sexual growing pains, and I don't mean that sitcom starring that curly-haired Jesus freak Kirk Cameron. I'm getting way off track with Anastasia on her back, getting plowed like a field after a Lotus attack. Her hymen broken like an arcade token for Street Fighter 2. Their chemistry is unspoken, except in the moans of her very first orgasm, opening her pussy up like it was a chasm. But not the Grand Canyon, that's a little too big for her once virginal vagina. He's always asking, does it hurt? Am I too rough? Like Billy Ocean once said, when the fucking going gets tough. And like a Smurf drowning in Smurfette's Smurfberry juice, Christian cuts loose as the night of passion soaks the sheets in sweat and blood. But there's no tears, or even fears. He used a condom or 2 or 3. Maybe it's just me, but after 2 acts of coitus, neither needed to pee. And so the reader's led to believe they fuck like in the movies, Hollywood if he could. But without the cameras rolling, he's not demanding, nor is he trolling. In the morning he eats her pancakes. That's not code for pussy, but for the food that she makes him before they take a bath. Soaking in the tub, scrubbing her private parts, she takes him in her mouth, going deeper and deeper like some minor or some sex-crazed chimney sweeper. She chokes on his yoke, and as he shoots his wad down her throat, first time A+, porno-level blowjob, and then he takes her to bed, deciding that he needs to return the favor, tonguing the little man in the boat as he savors the flavor, and suddenly voices from outside, ruining the moment his mother has arrived. And now the sex has all ended with the words you dirty pricks need to hear. Parental guidance recommended.
Well, that was awkward. So anyway, after their night of passion, they are awoken to the sound of voices, and Christian's adoptive mother, or his actual mother, I guess, is there to visit. And so Christian goes out, and Anastasia meets Christian's mother for the first time. The mother is very happy because Christian has never brought a woman home to meet the family or anything like that. So she's very happy that he's got a woman there. So this goes kind of on back and forth, and it gets like a lot hotter and a lot heavier, and she's changing him, she thinks, for the better. He's getting her to experience new things. And yeah, it's just extravagant dinners. She meets his family for the first time. Kate is there as well. It's just really kind of boring relationship minutia from her perspective. So she's constantly, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? And all the while, they have sex and do some bondage stuff. I'll get into that in the next part of this video. So ultimately, she has to take a break, so she flies back to visit her mother. Christian, of course, upgrades her flight to first class. She's a bit pissed off about that, but ultimately it's first class, so shut the fuck up. And she's spending a week with her mother. Her mother senses that something's wrong. She's in this relationship, but she's very moody and very upset and whatnot. So the mother gives her relationship advice because, you know, a woman that's been married 4 times obviously is the best person to talk about relationships with. But whatever. Christian ends up flying out there and basically stalking her again. Gets invited to the mother's house for dinner, but has to leave early because of something that we believe is business related, but we don't really know. Anastasia ends up going back to Seattle. She thinks Christian's going to meet her at the airport. He doesn't. He sends his right-hand man. And so she goes to Christian's house. It's Friday night. They get together in another kind of sex thing. Talk about the contract. She hasn't signed it yet. The contract that will make her his slave for 3 months. And ultimately she decides, you know what? I want you to change for me. I want you to love me because I need love. So hurt me. Let's see what this is all about. So he does. And she breaks up. And that's the end of the book. There you go. I left out a lot of bits in the middle there because, quite frankly, it's really fucking boring. But some highlights. He takes her gliding over to chase the dawn, as he says. That was a pretty good scene. There is a restaurant that he takes her to where they only serve what they catch that day, so you never know what's on the menu. Fuck, why not? I wouldn't mind eating there. Sounds pretty good. He buys her a car because he thinks her car is unsafe. And he gets his right-hand man to sell her old car. But then when she breaks up with him, she demands, where's the money for the old car? I want that money back. Like he hasn't given her fucking thousands of dollars worth of stuff. She wants like the $50 he got for a shitty Volkswagen Beetle. Mildly entertaining, I guess. The fact that she has guys throwing themselves at her for most of this book, but I don't see them that way. No, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. No. Yeah, no. He's like my brother. He's like my cousin. He's like my dog walker. For fuck's sake, shut the fuck up. So yeah, that all happens kind of in the middle. Not much else to say about the story. It ends on a cliffhanger. Clearly, something happens because there's 2 more books in the series. But for all I know, they break up. He's absolutely devastated at the end of the book. He can't believe she's walking out on him. And she goes home and hugs a helicopter balloon and cries. That's the final scene we're left with. So there you go. 50 Shades of Grey. I know you're all waiting for this. Let's get to the good stuff. Okay, now I have to say that although the majority of the book is very well written, the author clearly understands the genre very well, understands the cliches and how to use them effectively. The sex scenes in this book were fucking ridiculous. Over the top, multi-orgasmic, like he fucks her, for want of a better word, his turn. They don't make love, they fuck. He fucks her, rips the condom off, puts another condom straight back on, and fucks her again without that kind of any slowdown period. Neither of them, after sex, have to go to the bathroom to pee. Maybe, I don't know, you guys have experienced that. Maybe it's a fucking weird thing that I do. I don't know. It's more than enough information for all of you. Yeah, it's trying to be Hollywood sex scene, but comes off like Harry Potter fan fiction. I don't know. It just doesn't work. The first time they have sex is in a bedroom. They have sex in a bathroom. They have sex in a shower. They have sex against a wall. They have sex in the Red Room of Pain. And the bondage scenes, man, like, come on. He's chained her up and he's flicking all parts of her body with a riding crop. And I mean, the first time he spanks her because she rolls her eyes at him, he puts her over his knee and he pulls her pants down and spanks her ass like she's fucking Bart Simpson. Just ridiculous. But all of that aside, you know, that's what got the readers in. That's what sold the book. That's what made everyone lose their fucking minds. I fucking get it. All of that aside, it's the bondage stuff that doesn't fucking work for me. And it's not because that's his proclivity. It's just because we're getting this from her perspective. Okay? So from her perspective, he has slapped her ass. He has tied her to, chained her to a ceiling and whipped her with a riding crop, flicked her clit, smacked her boobies around, and then had sex with her. He's tied her to a bed. He's had sex with her, really rough as well. He's done all of these things. And yet at the end of the book, when she's like, I will let you hurt me. I said I would try for you. I want to see what this is all about. And he takes her up to the Red Room of Pain and he gets a leather belt and he puts her over his knee and he starts whipping her ass with the leather belt while she has to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because you're going to hit her 6 times. And at the end of it, she gets up and she goes, you're a fucking monster. You're a fucking freak. You fucking sex fiend. What the fuck was that about, you fucking weirdo? Fuck you. I'm over this. Fuck. Are you fucking telling me that everything he fucking did to her, and it's the belt that is the cutoff for her? It's the fucking belt. How many times when I was a kid did I get my fucking ass tanned by my dad's Air Force belt for doing something fucking stupid? A deserved beating. I know you're not allowed to say that these days with all the fucking snowflakes. You can't hit your kids and stuff. But back in my day, fucking people hit their kids. Fucking straighten them out. That's her cutoff line, a belt. Not, I don't know, having a leather riding crop smacking in your pussy. It's a fucking, no. I don't fucking buy that for a second. That's a fucking cop-out. That's just an absolute fucking cop-out. And that's why I give this book a rating out of 5 bondage whips. I give it 4 bondage whips. I gotta say, as much as this book is an overhyped piece of shit, as much as I hate the narrator in this book, as much as it's full of romantic cliches, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, as much as I'm not even remotely close to the target audience for this fucking book, I got to find out what happens. I've got to jump into 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed to find out what happens. And yeah, so, you know, any book that can make me want to keep reading after I've slogged through it, got to give it at least 4 out of 5, at least. Many of you are expecting me to give it a low rating, but if it was absolute trashy shit, you know I wouldn't be talking about it. I wouldn't waste your time. I'd waste my time, wouldn't waste your fucking time. So there you have it. 50 Shades of Grey, bondage extravaganza, basically responsible in 2012 for flooding in at least 15 major cities around the world. You know what I mean. If you enjoyed this review, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, plaguelandsmedia.com. Check out our ebooks on Amazon. And please stay safe, Until the next video, have a good one. And go read a fucking book, people.